Hey everybody, what's up? I'm going to make an assumption. You've probably never used the following 3 pseudo-classes, which is what we're going to be checking out today. And that is, not, and also focus within. So I'm going to show you exactly how to use these with a real quick project and a quick walkthrough. All right, and also, if you haven't yet, why haven't you subscribed? Now, before we begin, this video is sponsored by Scrimba. Now, Scrimba is the easiest and most interactive way to grow your coding skills. It's a mind-blowing technology that allows you to play around the code directly inside screencasts. Now, this video is about CSS Psuedo-Classes, right? Well, my buddy Kevin Powell has an excellent course at Scrimba called the Responsive Web Design Bootcamp that covers everything you need to know about CSS. You're going to get 15 hours of content with over 173 lectures, which include a variety of awesome interactive design challenges. So if you hurry up and click the link below here in the YouTube description, you will receive a massive discount, but you have to hurry because we're limiting it to the very first 50 people. All right, so we're here in Visual Studio Code with an empty project. We just have, the initial HTML here. It's linking to our CSS main CSS file. I'm using Sass here. And I'm also using 2 plugins, which is the Live Sass compiler and the Live Server. And I've just right-clicked and opened with Live Server. That way we can see the progress in our browser as we code. So in order to understand these CSS pseudo-classes, you need to understand the HTML structure real quick. So we're just going to real quickly create a basic HTML structure, and that way we're all on the same page. All right, so it'll give us context. Now we're going to do a div of class container. And as always, I'm going to be using my Emmet abbreviations to write out the HTML. So I've done a tutorial on Emmet abbreviations. Just makes your life easier when you're writing out your HTML. Less typing is always a good thing. So header, that's going nowhere. This is going to be class and logo. It's going to be very basic, ugly looking site, but it'll serve our purposes essentially. We're going to have a div of class content, which will hold a main element, which will hold an H1 element. We offer the best news, okay, whatever. We're also gonna have a paragraph element here with lorem, maybe 20 words of lorem ipsum text. We'll also have, just for demonstration purposes, we need some HTML elements in order to really demonstrate some of this stuff. We're gonna put an input type of text. Also inside of main, we're gonna have an article. All right, so we're gonna do an H2. This is an article. We'll go ahead and put paragraph lorem, 10. And then also one more HTML element, unordered list item 1. Shift Alt down arrow key will replicate those lines for you. And then we're almost done. We'll have, outside of the main, we'll have an aside. So this will be a 2-column layout. The aside will just be H3 sidebar. We'll also have a paragraph there as well, lorem 10. All right, that's looking good. And then outside of our div, we will have a footer with a paragraph that says copyright 2020. Design course, whatever. Okay, that's it. That is our HTML. So if we look at this monstrosity in our browser, this is what it looks like. So now let's go ahead real quickly to our Sass file, and we will define some initial rule sets. So we're gonna have body, margin 0, font family Nunito. I have that installed, so I'm not gonna import it. It's just for these demonstration purposes. Our container will have a width of 80% and centering it with margin 0 auto. We can see what this does so far. It's not going to be responsive because we don't need it to be responsive. We don't have to waste our time just to demonstrate these pseudo-classes. And now let's go ahead and specify our header. Again, I'm just going to paste in some of these. These aren't specific to the purpose of the tutorial, but I did want to structure some of them. That way, at least it has some semblance of a design. I can't help myself. I'm a UI designer. This is what we have so far. Also, we'll do content. Will be display flex. That, of course, will automatically take those 2 elements of main and article and float them left of each other. Create 2 columns. We're going to do main, margin right, 5M, just to push that over. And then footer, this is our last one. We'll do a position, absolute, bottom, 0. Now I'm doing this only because we don't have enough content really to worry about doing it a different way, but this is going to take it to the bottom right down here. So this is our very simple layout in which we have enough of HTML elements to demonstrate the utility and the usefulness of some of these lesser known pseudo classes. So the first one we're going to start with is, all right? So let's say, for instance, we want to change the paragraph here, the paragraph here, and the paragraph here, the color. There's another paragraph over here in sidebar, but for whatever reason, we don't want to change that one. So the traditional approach is just to say main paragraph and also footer paragraph. So this is going to say any paragraphs that reside in the main element right here will change the color. So we have one right here, and then we also have one that's nested another level in right there. And then at the bottom, we have footer, and that'll change it there. So if we save this and we say color red, we'll see we have our 3 red colors, right? This isn't a mystery, really, if you understand some basic CSS. But we can do that in a much more condensed manner. So right now, it doesn't seem too condensed because we only have two elements here, 2 different selectors. But that could actually become very long, right? So this is where is comes in. So we could say is, instead of that, main footer. And we could say paragraph. All right, so let's get rid of this. And what we'll do is say color. We'll do blue this time. All right, so we hit save. And there we go. So what it's essentially saying is in that little function, or within the parentheses, the parameters are the selectors. So inside of main and footer, we could say paragraph, change the paragraphs to blue, essentially. So we could see as long as it is those elements, then we'll change it. Otherwise, in sidebar, which is in the aside element, it's not going to change. So of course, that's very handy. More information about that specific selector can be found here at developer.mozilla.org. So it's going to give you more examples. It can show you the usefulness. For instance, if we come down here and we see something crazy like this, this can be replaced with is. And obviously, as you can see, it cuts out a lot of potential CSS. All right, so let's focus on the next one, which is, well, if we have is, we have to have a not, right? So what we can do with not, let's say, for instance, we want to select an element, and we'll say any HTML element inside of that element we want to change. So it's working in the reverse of is. It's the opposite. So what we can do is we can say body, everything in body that's not a paragraph, we can do color green. All right, so what happens here? All right, so this is a little confusing because everything, including the logo title, is green, right? And that's because right now we don't have an actual paragraph inside of the body element. So we'll just say like, hey, what's up? Now we can see, if we come out here, this one is left alone. So it won't affect all of the paragraphs in others that are nested one level deep or past the selector that you've chosen. In this case, we chose the body element, right? So what we can do now, just to further demonstrate this, we can also, let's say, for instance, we want to change everything except the article's paragraph right here. So what we can do is come back here and we'll say article not. All right, so what this does is choosing the article element, and it's looking at all the elements that are inside of it, right? So we have an H2 element, a paragraph element, and an unordered list right here. So we're telling it everything that's not a paragraph, change the color. That's how that works. Very, very simple. Now we can even take this a step further. We can combine them. So we can say, for instance, we'll go out one level, main, We're going to say not paragraph. Let's check that out before we continue. We'll see what that does. All right, so inside of main, everything that's not a paragraph is changed. Now, what if we also wanted to omit this paragraph as well? Well, we can just simply specify not and then article. Look at this. There we go. So we don't put not article paragraph, we just put not article. And now that works. Now let's do one final one. Now this time is where we're going to use this actual element. This is a very cool one. Let me get rid of this hey what's up thing. And that is called, oh, by the way, if you want, I'm going to show you guys. This is the not specification here. There's some notes about this that you should definitely read through. You can check out the support right here, and you can see that there's a few things that you can't do. You can't combine them within, what do you call, like for instance, if we go here, you can't do this. It's not very supported, like paragraph and then article. You can't do that. So just understand that. So let's also check out focus within, it's called, which is very cool. So let's say, for instance, we wanted to change the element, some type of CSS property based on when somebody focuses within this text field, right? Here's how we do. We use focus within. So we could simply say main focus. Let me put that back here. Focus within. And then we can say background. And we'll just do gray. That's going to look ugly, but I like putting that there. That way it can hover. And just change this, I don't know, to like that. And that's also just this. I would have never advised doing this. This would be bad UX and design. But changing just to show, you know, that it works. Look at that. So it's almost like JavaScript in a sense. It's understanding, it's detecting that this element has been focused right here, and this would work for any of the input elements that are inside of the main element. And there you go. So this would be a nice thing maybe to just change the background color of a form, kind of indicating, much like it's the same concept of when you're using the focus property in CSS to change, you know, the border of an element that's currently focused. But this allows you to change, you know, the element that's housing the form as well, which is kind of cool. All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed that and you've learned something new with some CSS pseudo-classes. All right, so as always, make sure to subscribe and definitely check out the offer from Scrimba that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. And of course, check that link there in the very first line of the description. See you soon. Goodbye.